Welcome to your Journey to Joy podcast. I'm your host, Moyra Gorski, and I'm on a mission to help you find joy in the chaos of life. As a retired nurse, multi-passionate entrepreneur, and mom of 4 adult children, I know what it's like to feel the overwhelm of it all and wonder if and when the joy will show up again. And I've learned it's up to us to go find that joy. On this show, you will hear inspiring stories from those who have overcome all kinds of life challenges, tips on how to stay healthy and vibrant during the ups and downs of life, and simple ways on finding joy in your own life. Let's face it, life is messy, yet when we travel together on this journey, support and encourage each other along the way, that joy starts to show up again. I'm so excited to lead you on this journey of you to find the joyful life that you deserve. Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am your host, Moyra Gorski, and I am coming here today. It's just me, and I've got something to share with you. And I feel like it's super important because, it just is. And because I know that through my journey here of this podcast, that it's super important for us to share our stories. Because when we share our stories, we're able to help others. We're able to show other people that there is hope in the world. They're not the only one going through it, and we need to continue to share. And not wait till the story's over and the story's perfect and everything's great. And that's when we share. We need to share in amongst the tough stuff. And so that's where I'm at today. I have something to share with you. And what I found out at the beginning of October is that I have a malignant tumor in my breast. So I have stepped into that sorority, as I tell people, of cancer, of breast cancer, that I never wanted to be a part of. I'm not a sorority girl overall, and boy, I didn't want to be in this club. But the fact is, it's here. I'm in that club, and this is what's going on. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about my journey so far. It is now the 14th of November, so it is a little bit less than a month away from my procedure that I'm going to have. And it's a little over a month into this journey of discovering that I have cancer. And it's certainly not what I expected. It's certainly not what most people expect, right? To happen to them. And if you know me, I talk about joy and hope and recovery on this podcast, but I'm a retired nurse, and I've been in the wellness field for over 25 years, and I've been helping people live healthier lives. And I do that by example because I do that myself. And there's been several people that when I shared this news, they're like, you do everything right. Including my kids were saying, "What happened, Mom? Like, what did you not do? Or what did you?" I'm like, no, it's not that. Like, it is a big example just to start with that there's some things that we can control and there's some things we can't control. And we can do all the good things that we think, and bad things can still happen. And so that's where I'm at. And that's my message just as we start this conversation here of, we can do all these things, but we never know what's going to happen. And so as a result of that, I encourage people to continue to do the things that they know are right for them and to really enjoy life because we don't know what's going to happen. So that's where I've been at. That's where I'm sitting. I kind of wish it away, but I can't wish this away, right? The fact is it's there. And so I have dove into learning and reading and asking questions and listening to podcasts and taking notes and reaching out to people that I know have gone through this before. And there's some things that I want to share with you today. And I start by saying this is an individual journey. This is my journey. If you think what I'm doing is wackadoo, then it's my journey. That's what I've noticed as I've reached out and talked to people. That's what I want to continue to share with people. And I can appreciate that everybody's cancer journey is different. And we need to just appreciate others where they're at in that journey and say, okay, that's whatever they want to do is fine for them because it's their choice. And really, that's what I've always done in this world here of wellness, and is that I like to educate people and then leave the choice to them. Then you have a choice. But an educated consumer, an educated person is such a much smarter consumer. When you have all the information, then you can make the choice. And so I've learned that there is a lot of fear. When you say that C word, there's a lot of fear in people's minds, in people's hearts. There's a lot of fear. And yes, I do not deny that there is so much cancer and people have been affected by it. They have lost people that they love from the troubles of cancer. And so it's rightly so they're afraid. But what I keep hearing when I meditate and when I pray and when I sit and write is to not be afraid. Because if you follow this podcast, you know that I have a strong faith, and I have a faith that has become my own through the chaos of my own life. And I keep hearing from that power greater than me, don't be afraid. I've got you. I'm the one that is here leading the way. And put yourself in my hands, and I've got you. And so I keep hearing that, and I keep hearing that. I know there's Bible verses and things like that, but I don't have those on hand, and I can't think of them right now. But I know that there's fear, and I choose to not be afraid. Because, fear is false evidence appearing real, right? That's a nice acronym for it. And it's going to take the joy and stuff out of today if I just sit in fear. The fact is it's here. I have something that's developed, some cells that have gone awry, and what I think the best thing that I can do, and anybody can do, is, okay, I'm going to learn. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to do some meditation. I'm going to write my feelings out in a journal. But I'm going to learn, and I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to go to appointments and things like that. And then I'm going to make my choice of what I'm going to do and go forward instead of sitting in this pit of fear, like, what if? And that's what I'm choosing to do. And I hope that you hear that if you're going through something similar, or somebody shared this podcast with you and you're going through it, that we don't have to be afraid. We don't have to be afraid. Yes, there's times that I'm pissed off and I'm like, really, why? But I think about, well, why not? Because when I think back on those days when things were really tough, my daughter was really struggling with her health. We didn't know if she would survive, if she'd get kicked out of another place, if she would kill herself. It was really tough. And I remember those days and remember how I felt. And today I don't feel that way. I've been questioning, why not? And you know why? It's because of all that work that I've done, the journaling that I've done, that self-care piece, being the leader of my own life and saying, no, I'm not going to let this take me down. I'm going to figure out how I can take care of myself and do things for me and love myself and forgive myself. Forgive myself for thinking that, what did I do wrong? What did I miss here? There's been plenty of those thoughts. What did I miss? Well, guess what? I can forgive myself for what I think I missed. I'm just going to love myself. I'm going to love myself and go forward into positivity here. So that's the fear part of it. And the second thing is that, again, what I talk about, if you're one of my clients or if you're in the business that I'm in, I talk, coming from that nursing point where we put a Band-Aid on something. I've lived in this place for the last 25, 26 years of let's not just put a Band-Aid on it. Let's see what's underneath it. And so that's what I'm really curious about. And there's some great books about that. There's great resources. I'm not so concerned about the tumor. I'm making a choice to have the tumor removed. But then I want to know what is the terrain that I have created within myself. And that's what they call it in one of these books called The Metabolic Approaches to Cancer. What's the terrain that created this? And let's take a look at making some shifts and some changes to that terrain. Does that make sense? It's not about the tumor. It's what the tumor's living in and what terrain caused it to happen. So when you look at that book, they talk about stress and hormones and blood sugar and sleep and lots of different things. And so I'm looking at let me take a deep dive into those things. What's off within those? Because people say, oh, you do everything. I'm I don't do everything right. I mean, you see a lot of what I do. I share a lot of what I do, but there's some things that I need to do better. And that's what I'm committing to, is what can I do better? And I know, like, right off the bat, I quit drinking. And I'm not here to say you have to do that, but I thought, well, this is a known carcinogen, and I'm trying to, like, get rid of, like, the crap in my body. And so I decided to quit drinking. And it's really interesting that, like, I've been a little bit curious about not drinking and what that would look like. And but I never did it. And maybe I slowed down a little bit or whatever. And even when my daughter was struggling, I decided to, as somebody said, well, fast and pray. But I wasn't going to necessarily fast like they did in the Bible and for a long period of time. But I decided to fast with some things. And so I fasted with alcohol. I gave all my wine away. I said, I'm not drinking. I'm going to fast. I'm going to show God, yes, I am serious about, like, praying to you and asking for your help in that. That's kind of what I'm doing with this a little bit, but also just saying, you know what, it's not a good choice for me. Like, we all have choices of what we put in our mouth and put on our bodies and put around ourselves. And I'm making a choice to not do that. And so that's where I'm at. And in the process of that, that's perhaps a conversation for another day, or go back and listen to one of my podcast from my great friend Heather, who has a ditch the drink business. And she talks about, when you are sober curious, when you give up drinking, like, don't just focus on, oh, I'm not drinking. Focus on, like, you know, why are we drinking in the first place? Or what was that, when you made that choice to have a drink, like, what was that choice all about? And that's what I've been curious about. Like, why was I drinking in the first place? And what was it doing for me? And is there a way that I can make another choice that can make me happier and stuff like that? So that's one thing I did. I am diving myself into more plant-based eating, and I'm learning about that. And I got to tell you, I love it. And if you have any recipes to share with me, please do. I'll have some. I'm working on a kind of my favorites of plant-based eating recipe book, so it'll be available soon. So keep an eye out for that. But I'm loving learning about that, just different combinations and different vegetables and different combinations of things that I can eat that taste really good. And it tastes really good. And within that, like, I have started juicing as well. I've heard a lot about that. I've heard a lot about celery juicing and how that's a great detoxer. But I've also been given some information from a gentleman called Chris Wark, W-A-R-K. Chris Beats Cancer is his business, and he beat cancer. He had stage 3-4 colon cancer, had surgery to remove things, and then went on to heal himself with plant-based eating. And he's a great advocate. He's so great, such great knowledge out there. And so I'm learning. He has a great juice combination, so I've been doing that. So again, lots of things. I have the celery juice some days, and some days it's beets, carrots, celery, ginger, turmeric, apple, zucchini squash, asparagus, and a little bit of aloe vera juice. And it's really amazing. So I'm loving that. I'm loving drinking that at least once a day, if not a couple of times a day. And what I'm doing also is getting back to my morning routine and my self-care practices that I've learned about that, quite honestly, have gotten a little bit off track. I mean, I've gotten a little off track of doing that meditation that I love and that morning work and carving out the time for me instead of being so busy and saying, oh, I don't have time for that. And oh, it's okay. Well, guess what? It's not okay now. I need to do that. I need to sit in the morning, in the dark, with my candle lit and think and pray and let go of things that are bothering me, and that worry and that angst and that grab onto control of things like that. I've gotten back to that, and it's been great. There's a lot that I'm discovering as I'm journaling about my thoughts and the things that have gone off. And really, again, what do I want this next phase of my life to look like? There's just so much. I've talked about journaling before, and there's just so much that I'm going back to learn and revisit as I'm getting more and more, just really tightening up, if you will, that morning routine. Breath work, hypno breath work, and things like that. And then I'm also, again, I'm being much more intentional about what I put in myself, in my mind, in my body. I had one piece of Halloween candy just because I wanted to try this new one. But I know that the cancer feeds on sugar, so I'm decreasing that. And with that, plant-based eating, no alcohol, decreasing my sugar content, my hypno breath work, my reading, my meditation, you know what's happening? I'm sleeping better. I'm feeling better. I have so much energy. I feel like my blood sugar is more stable. I'm interested in perhaps getting a blood sugar or a glucose monitor to monitor that. But I feel like I don't have the highs and dips and, in my energy and my hunger and stuff like that. It's really been very amazing. And I feel good. Mentally, I feel good. And physically, I feel good. So it's really, and I find it just curious as I'm going through this. Again, I have been curious about changing some things and being more plant-based or not drinking. And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm just doing it. Because all of a sudden I was given this diagnosis and I'm like, okay, I guess now's the time. Isn't that funny? We think about things, about making changes, about creating some new habits. And we're like, oh, I'm so busy. I hear it from my clients a lot. I'm too busy. Oh, I couldn't do that. Oh, really? You juice? Oh, you don't drink? What? Really? I'm like, yeah, try it. No, I couldn't do that. Well, guess what? When you're faced with oh, these are things that perhaps are impacting my health. We all say that, right? We know that. But all of a sudden I was like, okay, I'm not doing it. And I have such strong resolve. I'm just not going to do it. Or I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn about plant-based eating. I'm going to learn a different recipe that I can make for Thanksgiving that's not da-da-da-da-da. And it feels fine to do it. I don't feel like when somebody says, oh, really? I'm like, yep, that's what I'm doing. And I'm solid in my decision. And I'm curious, just think about that. What is it going to take? This was my wake-up call. I have been talking all year. It's November 14th. I've been talking all year that I really needed to slow down. People are like, oh, you're so busy. I'm like, oh, no, I'm really not that busy. I choose what I do and blah, blah, blah. I am really busy. I'm really involved. And I love that. I've networked so much the last 12, 13 years. And so I'm involved in a lot of things. I know a lot of people. And that's all good. And I was also realizing that I didn't feel so good about that. And I wasn't reaching some of my goals, and I wasn't doing some of the things like going for a walk with friends or just being able to go out to lunch with somebody or go to the park or, take this trip or whatever. I wasn't finding time for some of those things because I was so busy. And so I was like, okay, well, that's my word of the year. It's focus. So I'm going to focus on what's the most important thing. And so I have been working on that. I do that with air quotes. I've been working on it. And I guess now with this, I'm working on it. It is okay, I haven't really been paying attention and working on it good enough. So now I'm doing that. This wake-up call has forced me to do that. And I share all this as don't feel bad about what you're doing, but just, listen to what I say. And maybe something resonates with you that oh, you're going to make that change today, or you're going to try that new thing today, or you're going to say no to somebody today, or you're going to say yes to something today. Because think about it. Is it important to you? Is it important enough for you to say, I'm going to get through the uncomfortableness of this? I'm going to make those changes. I'm going to do that thing because it's important to me. And I know it's uncomfortable. Trust me. This is not comfortable. It's not what I expected. There's some days I'm like, oh, really? Come on, really? I haven't been to the doctor. I go to the doctor. I haven't been to the hospital. I haven't had any procedures since my last son was born 20 years ago. I live a healthy life. Now I got to go in for surgery. I got to have a pre-op, and then I got to have a post-op, and then I got to have another post-op. I'm like, really? Yep. I don't want it, but guess what? That's it. And so I'm uncomfortable at times, and I'm choosing to find the joy in the chaos, right? That's what I talk about all the time. And that's what we need to continue to do. We can sit there and try to control our lives and hope that this happens and doesn't happen and all those kind of things. And yet there's days that we find ourselves in the midst of a bunch of stuff that's thrown us off kilter. This threw me off. I was down on my knees. I was sitting outside the hospital going, really? 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 But it's really. And so these are the things that I'm choosing, and I'm choosing to share it with you because I want to encourage you to just take a pause and just say, okay, if you're going through a bunch of chaos, say, yep, this is a bunch of chaos. It's not what but what can I do? How can I commit to learning more? How can I commit to taking care of myself more? How can I commit to slowing down enough to listen to perhaps what that power greater than you is encouraging you to do? One of the things that I'm doing, and I encourage you to do, is think about, again, when these kind of things happen, I think it's really important to do a little detox, and not just a physical detox on the inside, because I'm looking at doing that. I've been doing this juicing, which is helping with detox and stuff, and I'm looking at doing some other ones, and I'm looking to see what coffee enemas are all about. Yes, there are such things. And so many people talk about them and how great they are for detoxing the liver. So, okay, I'm going to learn about that, even though that seems uncomfortable. But I'm looking at detoxing, and I'm looking at cleaning out my closets, actually my physical closets here in my home, of my clothes and my books. I've given away like 5 bags of books. I've sold some things. I'm starting to, go through some things in my house, in my life. Like, is that serving me anymore? And I'm getting rid of it. I'm gifting it to somebody else that could perhaps use it. I'm donating it to someplace because I don't need it anymore. My husband and I are talking about cleaning through our house and looking at perhaps selling it within the next couple of years. It's been a great house for us. We've raised our kids here, but there's been some stuff, some energy that I'd like to put behind us. We don't need all of this. And I believe that when we sell the house and step into something smaller, it's like that new lease on life that we need. We don't need this. We're going to put this behind us. I'm also going away for a couple of days next week, just by myself. I'm meeting up with a friend, and she's allowing me to use her house for a couple of days. And I'm just going to spend some time with me and think more about this. Like, what in my life is serving me? What in my life is not? And then what do I want my next 5 years to look like? And just sitting in that curiosity and just doing some crying and doing some resting and doing some writing and thinking and just time by myself, like getting rid of everything else, quieting down and being with myself. And I know that I'm going to do a bunch of breathwork meditation and do some walks and journaling, and just, again, spend some time with me and really think, me and my higher power, and think about all of that stuff. And I encourage you to do too. A lot of times at the end of the year, we make these resolutions, but are we doing like a detox, a mental detox? Are we doing a physical detox? Are we doing physical detox around us, the stuff? Many times I do believe it, that energetically, if we have too much stuff in our way, we get stuck. And so there can be physical stuff. Maybe you can go through your books and give those away, or your clothes. Give away the things that don't serve you. And maybe those are things that you're eating or you're drinking. Maybe there's the people that you're hanging out with. There's all kinds of things to think about. I've been thinking about a lot of them. And so that's what I'm doing some detox, some thinking, some journaling. And I just want to wrap up this episode by saying thanks for listening. 1 in 8 women will experience some kind of breast cancer in their life. So if you're not that 8th person, maybe it's your mother or your sister or your grandmother or your friend. It's very prevalent. And what I recommend and share isn't any guarantee, but I have to say that there's a lot of hope out there. There's a lot of information. And if I can be of any service to you with books that I've read or podcasts I've listened to, I'm here. I'm here to share. Please reach out because I'm reading a lot and I'm listening to a lot. And I just got a new doctor that I heard about today she's a chiropractor, and she's an awesome website and awesome resources. So there's a lot out there. Or maybe you're going through this, but I'm here to say, you know what, let's go on this journey together. Thank you for listening and following me. I really appreciate it. After 3 years of doing this, almost 4 years, 3.5 years. You guys are still with me. Some of you are new with me, but I really appreciate it. And my message will continue to be, let's choose joy. Let's find joy in the chaos of life, because in the chaos, it's sometimes really hard to find it, but we can find it. We can find it in those simple things. We can find it in the simple things of going outside and looking at how beautiful the trees are, or calling a girlfriend and saying, hey, thanks, or hey, I was thinking about you today. Find the joy in the tea that you drink in the morning. There are ways to find it within the chaos, because chaos is always going to happen. We can't control that. But I know that we can get through it if we share our stories and we learn from other people, and we just, again, choose that mindset of joy, choose that mindset of, it's okay, it's positive, yep, but I'm going to be positive and I'm going to go through this and we're going to get through it. So that's my message today as I wrap this up. But thanks for listening. My procedure is December 13th. If you're into prayer and good stuff, please keep me in your prayers as I have that procedure done on the 13th. And then I'm going to be home resting and listening to podcasts and resting on the couch and taking kind of the rest of the year off. So, and I'll be coming back strong as the new year starts. There's no doubt about that. So I'll continue to share my journey and what I've learned. And I'm looking for guests to talk about juicing and about finding joy in the chaos of cancer. So if you're one of those people, please reach out to me, because I'd love to talk to you on this podcast, because that's the journey that I'm in, and I'd love to share that with others. So if you know anybody that I should talk to, let me know as well. But again, stand in your own power and, take care of yourself. Find the things that you can do to take care of yourself so you feel good. And if you don't know, reach out to me, reach out to somebody that you know that can help you figure things out, or can just be there as a support, to listen, to give you a hug, to say, hey, it's going to be okay, because it's going to be okay. So thanks for listening. Again, there'll be a link in the bio about my journal if you want to pick up a journal. If you need a journal to just write some things down and pick up a journal, it's $15 through Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Pick up a journal and start writing. Reach out to me if you need some help. Buy me a cup of coffee. You'll see that link in the bio too. That helps just offset some costs of producing this podcast as well. But make it a great day. Again, I so appreciate all of you and everything that you bring to me in this world, and allow me to share my stories and share my life with you. And I appreciate you listening. Go make it a great day. We'll talk to you next time. Hey there, ready to live a more joyful life? Considering connecting with someone who can help you? If so, I'd like to be that person. I offer a free consultation where we determine where the chaos is in your life and how you can learn to bring more joy each and every day. Visit my website, MoyraGorski.com, or simply email me, Moyra@MoyraGorski.com, with more joy in the subject line. I look forward to connecting, and I'm here to say there will always be some chaos, which requires a little juggling, but you can find joy and live your life intentionally filled with that joy. Let me help you on your journey to joy. And that's joy, the journey of you.